All
Okay.
right, we are live. Good morning, everyone.
Good
Good
morning.
afternoon, wherever you are in the world.
Good morning. Good afternoon.
Yes, y'all.
It is, yeah. How are you guys Saturday morning going?
Yeah, drop
Um,
an emoji. Let us know.
right. My friend
Well,
here, Ty, she got her workout in already.
got my workout in. Feeling pretty good.
Awesome. I was gonna go hiking this morning with my husband, but he left way too early. I'm like, nah, it's Saturday.
But you're going to salsa class, so that is
We're going
always
to
fun.
salsa class later. I'm
Yeah,
excited.
I'm
Yes,
excited
it's
for
something we
you.
always want to do.
Yes, I hope it goes great. All
Yeah,
right,
I'm sure it
y'all.
will.
It's me, your favorite pimp, Ty, and I am back with my good friend Camille. And we are diving into a topic that every change manager and project manager has run into at some point in time. It's what we call resistance, right? But
Mhm.
what we want you all to know today is that resistance is not rebellion. It's not about people trying to be difficult. More than likely, it's people trying to send a signal, your project team,
Yeah.
your whether internal or external, that we need to pay attention to these signals, right? Something is going on, something is bothering them. So we're gonna go through today and we're gonna break down the four main types of resistance. And talk about how you as a project manager or you as a change manager can move differently, can act differently, and also share some real world strategies for turning the resistance, right? We want to turn this resistance
Hmm.
into momentum.
There you
So,
go.
yes. So,
I love
Camille,
that word momentum.
yes, because we got to keep the
Yes,
project going,
we
right?
got to keep it going. Like you said, when a lot of times when we see resistance is a signal that we need to reevaluate
Mm,
everything. And leaders often interpret this sometimes as, disloyalty or everyone is not getting on board. But instead, we need to look at it as it's just a normal human response, especially when things are not very clear to these individuals that this change is affecting. So there's four type of resistance, right? So there is fear. So fear of losing control, security, competence, all of those things. Then there is fatigue. Maybe there's a lot of change going on in the organization and people have change fatigue. People are sometimes simply just tired. There might be confusion, unclear goals, unclear roles. Um, Say it's a merger, so people might not know, will I still have my job? How is this going to affect me? Things are being spoken in kind of like the underground corporate line, and people are hearing these rumors and no one quite know what is really coming. And
right.
then there's that ego, right? So the ego is a sense of identity or authority. It feels threatened
Mm,
by this change. So the thing is, like, when we look at how to practical handle all of these different emotions and what people are going through, I even touch on that in my book, really, really deeply. And I would say is my rule of thumb is you never can over communicate, and we need to put ourselves in the stakeholders' shoes. We need
all
to,
the time.
and
Yeah.
before we even, like, I always ask, like, individuals that I'm working with, we have to be careful when we're communicating and what information we're going to communicate during what part of the projects. We do not want to communicate too much in the beginning when we don't have all that information. And if we don't have all the information in place, maybe we need to probably just wait until we communicate. What do
Yeah.
you think, Ty?
Yeah, so I definitely want to can we jump in just a little bit into each one of the different types of resistance? I kind of want to
Sure.
go back through those a little bit and how they show up. So let's talk about fear a little bit,
Mm.
Camille.
Mhm.
You kind of said it that people don't necessarily know what's going on. What does it mean for me? What does it mean for my job? So, how have you seen the fear show up? Just a little bit. Give us some of that.
Sure. Well, how I've seen the fear show up is productivity drops. People stop caring.
Mm,
People are lagging. People are complaining to each other. Um, normally fear doesn't, the way fear show up is kind of like some people deal with it as avoidance, and then you have that fight or flight response to fear.
Mm-hmm.
So some people might avoid, some people might be like, yo, it's time for me to find another job. Some people might just probably buckle down and trying to get everything right, and the anxiety level go up. But so that's some of those ways that I've seen fear show up. It's really
Yeah.
that fight or flight response within
Yeah.
organization.
Yeah, I agree with you. Fear is definitely a horrible thing because people will come, especially if you have formed your change champions, right? That's what
Hmm.
those change champions are for. They are those people who are going to go out and find out what's going on, what the talk is around the water cooler.
Right.
So they are very important, but they'll bring it up. What does this mean? How will my new job look, or things like that? And if that hasn't been well defined, then those people, I have seen people who are fearful of their job, try to like stop a project, or
Hmm.
just bring in agitation to the project. But really, when it comes to fear, what are some things that we should do to help them to move through that fear?
People like to feel like they have a voice. When you make people a part of that transformation, a lot of times that fear decrease. In order for us to really combat fear, we need to have a sense of control. So we
Hmm.
want to invite those individuals in, and we want to hear their point of view. And that's why it's important to me. I feel like our subject matter expert that we have on these projects and change champions should be separate, because our change champions are these individuals that are on the floor, that boots are on the ground, and that individual will be their representation of their voice. It's also really good early on to have some sort of town hall, but not just like I talk about this a lot in my book. When it comes to communication should never be just one way, just you
Mm.
communicating out. It's
Yeah.
important, like in those tonals, and I see that so much, is just leaders going up and just talking. No, make that an interactive session.
Yeah.
Be, kind of really just take off that hat, that ego and everything, and just really sit there and hear what people are saying. When
Yeah.
people feel like their leaders care for them and that their leaders are listening to their point of view, then things tend to be a lot smoother. And the
Yeah.
beautiful part about it, Ty, is that sometimes as leadership, they're so far up in the weeds that they might have an idea how they think they should go, but there's so much that you can learn from your frontline
Yes.
employees.
Yep.
So when you have these dialogue and Q&A session, truly listen to their point of view. And I would say that that is one of those things, one of the one things that are multiple things when it comes to how we can practically combat fear. And
Yes.
when you're sending any communication, no communication should go out unless there is a feedback loop. Even if it's
Mm.
an email, if it's a newsletter, put even a one question survey in there. Have something like a QR code where people can click in and ask questions. Individuals must never feel closed off from information. They must always feel a part of that. And
Mm.
that sense of control, it really helps with managing fear with stakeholders.
Yeah, I love everything that you said, and I totally agree with it. So now let's talk about fatigue. If I am
Mm,
tired, I've been on 500
mm.
projects in this organization, and they just don't stop coming. How do we work through fatigue as a resistance, as a type of resistance
Mhm.
within our projects?
I would say first off, as change managers, we need to do broader assessments than just stakeholder analysis and impact assessment. We need to look at capabilities assessment. How capable are these stakeholders at this point of time to manage this change? We need
Hmm.
to do an analysis of everything that's going on within that organization and who it touched. So we're going to do our stakeholder analysis, but we need to stretch it even further. So we have to really map out, okay, say there's 6, 10 projects going on. Who is this touching? Is it touching customer service? Maybe 4 is touching customer service, maybe 5 touching marketing, whatever that
Right.
might be. That's important, because when we understand that, we will really be able to define our rollout. because no organization should try to overwhelm individuals. And it's not recommended, especially when it comes to big technology rollout for something that people have been using for 20, 15 years, to do that big bang. If that is the case, and to manage fatigue, we want to slowly roll out different things at a time. We
Yeah.
want to be agile. We want to be flexible. We want to be adjustable. How many times people are like, okay, we're going live here, we're doing everything at once, and we cannot expand. No, we have to have some level of flexibility, because what happens when we realize that we business is not ready to
Right.
for this change. And some individuals and some projects might look at it, well, we spent all this money. If we extend even for like 6 weeks, it's going to cost us. But guess what? If you go live when people are going through fatigue and not ready, it's going to be a waste anyway. So
Yeah.
I also, to go back, to just summarize, I would say to manage fatigue is to do deep dive analysis and understand how different change and different project affects each of those end users. And two, make sure that when you're looking at those rollouts, when you're looking at those go lives, that you are stretching them out, and keep those things in mind. Try not to use multiple people on multiple projects and plus tell them you have to do your 40-hour-a-week job.
Right. Right.
That's another thing that causes fatigue too.
Right.
So
And
see how, yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
I just to piggyback off of what you said, not to use the same resources over and over again. Backfilling, right? So as a leader, can you backfill these positions? So if you need Ty on this project, but she already has a 40-hour operational job that she has to perform, can you
Mhm.
backfill her position and you can get someone else to perform the operational duties while she is actually working on the project? That's what a good leader should consider as they
Yeah.
are getting ready to roll out the project. And not only that, that's where your project management office, your PMO, comes into play as well, because they should be looking at the whole portfolio of projects
Hmm.
across the organization and making
True.
considerations, right? So that we don't have conflicting projects. So even if you can't backfill, I'm not working on two projects at the same time, or I'm not working on a project, that bumps up. One project finishes, and then I'm right back into another project.
Right.
So all
That's
of
a
those
lot.
things, yeah, have to be taken into consideration, not only from a project management side, but also, like you said, from a change management side, and making sure that you're
Hmm.
doing the right type of analysis.
Right. And a tip for that, like I've seen where individuals try to communicate that
Yeah.
and leaders are not listening. And my tip for that is speak their language.
Hmm.
Speak data, speak outcomes. When
Yeah.
you're talking to a leader, speak outcomes. Don't just say, okay, I don't think it's a good time right now for us to do this. Show them where it will hurt them. Okay, we're going to see a dip in productivity here. This
Yeah.
is going to delay X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Speak those language. And change managers and project managers, this is a great place for you guys to really sit down and brainstorm, and like, how are we going to communicate that message,
Yeah.
right? Because like you said, the PMO office, you are going to have that broader range and broader scope of what is going on with these projects and everything around it, that PMO office. And change managers, here is where you help your PM to really put that in that human level, human based language.
Yeah.
And you guys, come on, we're a power couple, right?
Right. We
Oh yeah,
are.
we
Right.
are a power couple.
And while we're doing that, the next thing that it helps, the next type of resistance that it helps to combat is confusion, right? So let's
Mhm.
talk about that confusion part of rebellion, Camille.
Yes, yes. So, just like any one of us, we are being told to do something, but nobody gave us the direction. I don't know if you guys have kids. Like, I remember I said to my son, "Hey, Kristen, go jump in bed." I went into the room. He was like 6. He was jumping in bed. I was like, "Boy, what are you doing?" To bed.
It's literal.
Well, he literally was jumping in bed. Right. And, just think about like anything that you have done for the first time. Like the other day, I went to Italy and it was also new. There was some confusion there at first. I didn't understand, like I could use Google Map and all of that to really see where I'm trying to go. So there was all this confusion, the newness of everything. But once I found out, hey girl, you can use Google Map. Google Map showed me where to walk to. He showed me what train to take. Oh, it was a breeze. That
Yeah.
was my direction, right?
Yes.
So to go back to put that even Google Map scenario, we have an end goal. We have a place that we're trying to get to. We didn't give these people no roadmaps. We didn't give them any
Right.
check-ins. So because of that now, confused naturally, just like how
Yeah.
you would be confused, just
Yep.
like how my 6-year-old is confused. So
Yep.
the thing is, how we combat that is we give people clear instructions. We
Hmm.
give them checking points, just like how you use Google Map. Hey, you're checking over here and whatever. People along the journey that's going to help them. So that's my little take on confusion, Ty.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So even us coming together as project managers and as change managers, I think that should be done at the beginning of the project, right? So that the roadmap can be clear on both sides, and
Right.
we can really cast the vision. I know that's one of the things that I talk about a lot with project management, right? Our job is to cast that vision, and we have to keep recasting that vision. Like that's our whole goal, is to make sure that people understand why the change is happening. And not only
Mhm.
that, what are the benefits behind the change? So, I take that vision, build it with you as the change manager, and then we go out and we cast that vision so that the confusion comes down. And again, using those change champions, if our vision is not so clear, or if there continues to be confusion, then we come back together and we recalibrate that vision,
Mhm.
so it's, everything that you said, like being agile. We have to be agile with our vision and making sure that people
That's
understand, and recasting over and over again.
true. That's so true. That's so true. One of those things when it comes to casting our vision and like you saying, being agile, I hope we are tracking our KPIs. I hope we're tracking adoption because that's where agility comes in.
Yeah.
Because yes, like let me tell you something. You see that change plan and that project plan, I hope that it's a living document for you
Yes, it has to be.
because you are supposed to within that plan. I'm hoping that you guys are checking, having touch points in that plan to really analyze data, see what's working and what's not working, and like you said, come together and revamp. Flexibility is the key, right? We're living in a
Yes.
time of agility.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. So
Mhm.
the last type of resistance that we have mentioned is ego.
Mhm.
So for me, fear and ego kind of go together. I'm taking this journey where I'm learning more about ego and how to drop
Mhm.
my ego. So I had to drop my ego today,
Right.
because I was working out, but I have this back issue on my left side, and I was
Mm.
not able to adjust and do the exercises the way my instructor wanted me to. So I had to tell her, like, "Hey, I'm in a little
Wow.
bit of pain," and she was like, "Well, why didn't you tell me that in the beginning?" And I had to tell her, like, it was really my ego that was keeping me from letting
Mm.
you know, because physically I don't look like
Wow.
anything is wrong with me, but
Wow.
inside I'm in pain. I'm having this
Wow.
pain, and I can't do the exercises, or yeah, I can't hold the poses and the exercises the way I'm supposed to. I
Yeah.
had to drop my ego. But ego comes because there's a fear
Mm.
that somebody's
Mm.
going to judge you or something like that. And what does it mean for me if I tell somebody that I'm
Mm.
hurting and things like that? So how do we handle ego? I wasn't included. Why did how
Mm.
all those things? How do we handle
Man.
that?
Man, ego is it's wow, ego is just a really deep, deep, deep thing. I was actually
Mhm.
going to look up the Google definition of ego.
Mhm.
Um, and let me look it up real quick.
Okay. And I think one of the ways, as you're
It's
looking that
yeah,
up, go ahead. You got it?
I got it. It says
Okay.
ego, a person's sense of self-esteem or self-important.
Oh,
That's the
yeah.
Oxford Dictionary
Yeah.
definition.
Yeah.
Man, you know, like you said, the ego thing goes back to the fear. I've seen this so much, and this is why I love change management, and this is the part that gets emotional for me. Is like you have to understand, like someone is in an organization their entire life.
Mm-hmm.
They have seen so many changes. They've been there when everything was like pen and paper. We're writing everything down, we're
Yep.
bookkeeping, we're balancing our checkbooks. And then it transitioned. Okay, no, we're using Excel. All right, I learned Excel. And they were like, hey, Miss Pat, Miss Pat knows our Excel and you
Right.
feel good.
Right.
This is my thing. My thing. Miss Pat went from writing everything down to Excel. Now, hey, Miss Pat, you're going to use this new software called
Right.
Oracle or whatever. She's like, oh my
Yep.
God, I am going to lose that. Because over the years, she's seen all these young people coming in, but everyone called Miss Pat. She's the Excel queen. She's the person
Right.
that takes care of that. Now, you know what this poor lady is going through? Let me tell you something. This change management thing, this project thing, it's so much more than us just putting something on paper and doing a project. These are people emotions.
Yes.
This will create anxiety in an individual. It will create depression. It will
Mm-hmm.
create a sense of loss. People are even dealing with at different stage of life, different life events,
Yep.
So we have to take that in mind. So I would say empathy, leaders, we have to lead with
Ooh.
empathy. We have to put ourselves in individual shoe. A thing that you can do, and this is the training hat in me, is you can pair that individual with someone else and please be discreet about it.
Okay.
Please
I
be
like
discreet
that.
about it.
Yes.
Maybe someone pair them with someone else, put them with a peer to sit with, not just have them in, like the boardroom and we're going over
Yeah.
training and everybody's there and the functional consultants are walking around, people are intimidated. No, don't do that. Like
Yeah.
set up private like a
One-on-ones.
computer labs. Yeah,
Yeah.
one-on-ones and pair them with
Yeah.
someone stronger. Check in, reassure them. Miss Pat, all of sure, let me tell you, when we have that interview in the beginning and we are looking at what is changing, what is not changing, Miss Pat is someone you want to talk to and say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, Miss Pat, this is changing. But guess what, Miss Pat? These things are not changing. And there's
Right.
no one that can do it better than you.
Right.
We want to recognize, and then that's where it comes in, where we do recognize early resistors, celebrating success, big and small,
Yeah.
make it a safe environment, right?
Psychologically
Where
safe.
Right,
Yeah.
psychologically safe. Let
Yeah.
me tell you this thing, and I'm like, man, my whole goal in life is for leaders in organizations to really understand that you are dealing with people here.
Yeah.
We are dealing with people, and a lot of us, like our entire identities tied to a job and a position. This is not just some corporate thing that we're dealing with, okay? So
Yeah.
that level of like empathy, it goes a
Yeah.
long way.
Yeah, it
Hmm.
definitely does. And I think going back to your points about fear as well, just making sure that it's not a one-way dialogue, that you are allowing my voice to be heard as a frontline person, as a frontline leader. Because if my voice is not heard or I don't feel empowered to be able to share my opinions, then that's when my ego comes in as well. And
Hmm.
now I'm mad and I'm upset because you didn't include me. Why should I support this? So I'm gonna go figure out a way to sabotage it because my ego is playing games, you know?
That part. Hmm.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
All right, so let's shift just a little bit, Camille, because we are running against time. So
Yes.
give your last minute like practical advice about how we can work together to
Hmm.
combat resistance and make sure that we catch it early and our project is not derailed.
Right. So, advice number one is project leaders, leaders in organization, change your mindset. Resistance is not a threat. Resistance is just a way for us to know that, hey, we need to adjust and do things a bit different.
Yes,
The
yes.
second thing we want to do, we want to lead with our hearts and
Mm,
empathy. And that third thing, make those end users a part of that journey, that transformation.
yep,
Yes.
I agree. And everything that we do as project managers and as change managers, it's so important that we maintain our partnership.
Hmm.
Because if we maintain that partnership, then we can easily know who has the influence, who feels
That's true.
impacted, we can work together to agree on the type of communications, the type of
Mm-hmm.
training, all those things, so that people don't feel left in the dark. So just like you said, just making sure that the whole project team is psychologically safe, and we're able to roll that out to our end users as well.
Right.
We just want to work, to have those feedback loops. That was important. You said that early on. Email, a newsletter, a SharePoint site, a
Something.
website,
Yeah.
somewhere where they can come and tell someone about how they're feeling or express their
Mhm.
questions or their concerns. So it's important.
And town hall, like stop making it just like just a session where you're just talking to people. Make
Yes.
it interactive. If you can do it in person, and then have this big screen for people online and have a moderator. Make
Yes.
look, these town halls need to you need to hear the voice of the people during this
Yes.
time. It's not just because a lot of people are so busy, they're not going to pick up they're not going to click on the email or newsletter. Town halls are important, but it's also important that the way that we're managing town halls, we're giving people a voice. And it's
Yes.
also important early on because guess what? You might think you know, but you don't know. That
You
we
know.
hear from the horse's mouth and see what is really affecting these people and how we should roll out this project.
Yes.
Man, you
I
can
agree.
imagine a world where projects are being done like this, like how amazing things would just, it would be great.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
I love
yes.
it. All right,
Mhm.
Camille, I think that is the end of our time. I know you have to go to
Thank
your
you.
salsa class. I'm excited for you. And I have a
Me too.
little birthday party to go to that I'm excited about. So, just to let everyone know, just to close this thing out, put a bow in on it. Resistance is not rebellion, it is an opportunity to create momentum. So,
Ooh,
stop labeling people, start listening to them, and uncover exactly what is needed to help the project to move forward.
yes,
PMs, let's lead with curiosity instead of judgment. And then CMs, stay in lockstep with your PMs, right? This is a partnership. We are married. And we
mm,
are, like you said, we are managing people, not necessarily the project, right? We do have project timeline, but we have to make sure our people are taken care of. That is
yes.
how we turn resistance into rebellion, resistance into resilience and momentum. So that is
There
what we
you
do.
go. All righty.
All
Bye,
right,
everyone.
guys.
Bye, Todd.
All right. Bye bye. See you next week.
See you.